Once upon a time, there was a king who loved birds. The king had every variety of birds in his garden. Every evening, the king would go for a walk in his garden and he would enjoy the tweeting and chirping of the birds. But the king longed and longed to have a pair of parrots, for he had no parrots in his garden. One day, he got a pair of parrots. One day, the king got a pair of parrots as a gift from the neighboring kingdom. The king was so happy. He was overjoyed to see those parrots. Soon he called the ministers and said, Minister, appoint a trainer and arrange a place for these parrots in the garden. A place was arranged, trainer was appointed. The birds were getting trained every day by the trainer. They ate the delicious nuts and fruits and they played in the garden. The king would open his window every morning and he would look straight to the birds and he feels so happy. Finally, his longing for a parrot was fulfilled. But one day the trainer came and visited the king and said, Your Majesty, the birds are getting well trained. But what? But, Your Majesty, one of the parrots is refusing to fly. However I tried, the parrot is not flying, Your Majesty. Well, a parrot is not flying? What could be the reason, Minister? Why don't you call advanced trainers and healers from the neighboring countries? Soon, the trainers and healers from all around arrived. They examined, they checked, they looked from the beak to the tail and from bottom to the top. They couldn't do anything or they couldn't make the bird to fly. The king was worried. The king was very upset that he asked his courtiers, Wise men in my kingdom, can you tell me what could be the reason? Could you give me a way for the bird to fly? Poor men, none of them could offer any suggestion. The king was much more worried. He couldn't eat, he couldn't sleep. He was so very upset. And finally, a thought hit his mind. And he called up to his minister and said, Minister, I feel that someone who is very close to the nature can solve our problem. Can you bring a farmer from the countryside? Of course, Your Majesty. The minister went and brought a farmer from the countryside. And the farmer was taken to the parrot. And the next morning, when the king opened his windows, he was surprised. He couldn't believe his eyes, for the parrot, which wasn't flying all these days, was flying around the palace gardens. The king was excited. The king was so very happy and he immediately called up to the farmer. The farmer arrived and the king asked, Well, farmer, may I know how you made the bird to fly? The farmer, with folded hands and with due respect, he bowed in front of the king and said, Maharaj, this was very simple and easy. What? What do you say? Yes, Your Majesty, I simply cut the branch on which the bird was sitting. and the bird flew. Oh! The king was awestruck, and I need not say that the farmer was awarded and rewarded handsomely.